my hair's doing today. Nope. Nope. Okay. Good enough. All right. I am back with another Halo Infinite video, and this time we are talking about the unusual situation that unfolded, I think, late last night or early this morning about how our Halo, the Halo subreddit with almost a million members, has been locked by its mods for being too toxic. For a mods to lock their own community for being too toxic on Reddit, you can bet it takes a whole lot to do that. So I'm Mr. Follow all the social conversations everywhere kind of person. I'm the guy who steals all his articles from Reddit, so clearly I have been gauging the sentiment on Reddit for a while there, and it's been really interesting to see kind of the disparity between just sort of like the general social media conversation on like normal sites, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, mostly Twitter, and then compare that to what was going on in the Halo subreddit. And it's been pretty stark. So, I mean, we all know the main problems with Halo multiplayer as of now. It was the pace of progression in the battle pass. It's the way you make progress. It's how the cosmetics are tied to armor cores, which is annoying. It's some of the stuff that's offered in the microtransaction store. It's the kinds of playlists that are offered. And yet, kind of, at least on most social platforms, the overwhelming sentiment for Halo multiplayer has been positive, and it has been positive ever since the technical flights, because the game is just very fun to play. And most of the time, it's people just posting clips about their crazy kill streaks or wild warthog falling off a cliff kills or whatever you can do with all the crazy Halo physics, and it's a pretty good time. And obviously the conversations are happening at the same time here about what the game can do better now that it is a free-to-play game that needs to monetize itself with battle passes and microtransactions and things. Oh, hello Evie. Evie was like straight napping on the couch, like completely upside down. It was hilarious. And so like that has been part of the conversation, but I feel like what was going on in the Halo subreddit was kind of leagues beyond like appropriate feedback. Obviously, I'm a big Destiny person, and there's always, complaints about the Destiny subreddit being toxic, including being toxic to me personally on more than one occasion. But I think what we were seeing there is kind of next level, and it is divorced from, okay, here's some critical feedback. And it went straight into, I'll just read what the mod said. They said, on all sides, this has absolutely gone on long enough and spiraled out of control. The amount of toxicity on the sub from both sides has made it impossible for people to have civil discussions, which is what the mod team strives for, regardless of opinion. Some users on the sub have been responsible for doxing and death threats. We're temporarily putting the sub on lockdown. So they are going to reopen it tomorrow after the weekend's over. But this was definitely inspired by a very long post from Sketch, that's what he goes by on Reddit, the 343 community manager, in which he talks about kind of how absurd things have gotten with the conversation. And well, he like empathizes with some aspects of this, like other aspects are getting out of hand. And like it's really interesting because like fundamentally, he's saying that he and others agree with a lot of the complaints. So like here's a section that I kind of pulled out that I thought was really very telling. I mean, in terms of why, these conversations are happening in the first place. And he says, I did not really enjoy having to grind through 20 plus games of quick play to hopefully get oddball so I could hopefully win 3 times to complete his challenge, or Shudder, having to get 10 Ravager kills. Is this week's ultimate reward for just an emblem really worth the grind? There's a lot of work to do. We're all in agreement there. And then he talks about how they didn't launch with a Slayer-only playlist, and he says, we would love to have modes and experiences that meet player expectations versus the backlash situation we're in today. I don't believe anyone at 343 thought not having Slayer was a good idea. So like this kind of raises the question of like, okay, if these issues were so obvious, like what happened here? And like he kind of explains some of it, like how they had like a limited number of slots for playlists and how they didn't want, the objective-only playlist to launch dead. But like some of the stuff with progression, it's all you have to do is play the game for a couple days to kind of see what those problems were. So like this kind of reinforces like how did this happen situation. But he also says in a different section, like they don't think they owe anyone like a full explanation of why they made the decisions. And like I that's fine. Like I don't think they do owe anyone anything, and I think they have been very responsive in terms of making changes very quickly. It's just it remains confusing as to like why things kind of launch like this, especially they had the year delay, and I think the campaign needed more time than multiplayer necessarily, but obviously they launched multiplayer very polished, and progression is just kind of a work in progress. But like even in the first 2 weeks here, they have dramatically fixed some of the issues at least. Like the XP boost they did for daily games is crazy. Like everyone's gonna hit rank 100 in the first couple of weeks here now, out of the 6 month season. So there are other larger issues like the playlist issues they've already talked about. The same community manager went to talk about how they're getting a social playlist, Social Slayer after the holidays. Before the end of the year, they're going to have Fiesta and SWAT and something else I'm forgetting, but another mode that people have been requesting. So like they're moving very fast here, and I think people have to remember that like this is not like the only Halo game that's coming out for the next like 7 years. Like they're going to keep building on Halo Infinite kind of this whole generation. I'm 99% sure because that's what they said. They want to view it as a platform. So I think they have shown that they are pretty flexible in terms of player feedback, and I don't think they are, quote, not listening to anyone or like telling people to shut up. Like I don't think that's what's happening here, and I can empathize with a community manager whose job it is to absorb like tens and tens of thousands of tweets and angry Reddit threads and whatever, and try and distill that into coherent feedback to give to the team. I can understand why he might be a little frustrated with the direction things have taken. And like the Halo subreddit has led to some crazy things. Like there was some thread that was like comparing 243 to this is what happened in Nazi Germany when first they did this, and I'm like, oh my god, you have to stop. That is insane. And there have been doxing and threats and like all other manner of stuff that is bad. And as someone who has made negative videos and has posted negative articles about these aspects of Halo Infinite, I like to think that like you can still do that. Like 343 is not saying you can't do that. They're just saying to like be respectful and be understanding. And like I normally hate when people take the side or take the position that like the devs are lazy and this is why they didn't do that, or the devs are greedy. And like I really try to avoid any language like that or any implications like that in my articles. Whereas like I might say something like, I don't know why this wasn't, found ahead of time, but like, I am not, I have to respect the idea that they are trying to make a free-to-play game for the first time and figure out how to monetize it, and they just haven't figured that aspect out very well yet, and like, here are the X, Y, Z and things I would do to change it. But that's not even what's happening here. It's not even people calling devs lazy and greedy. It's like actual threats. It's actual Nazi comparisons. It is very bad and completely divorced from, I would say, the mainstream conversation around the game, where most people are just enjoying it. So it's a very weird, awkward situation that is kind of gross, and we'll see kind of what direction it takes as the weeks press on here. I know they're going to make more changes. I think they're going to make more challenge changes pretty soon. That's something he indicated. And then obviously we have the launch of the campaign itself this Wednesday on December 8th. Got to start writing that review. And that is going to open up different conversations, and some of those are related to multiplayer, like whether or not the campaign unlocks things for multiplayer. Like I don't even think I can talk about that yet, but I'll go into all that later. And there will be plenty to say on the campaign side as well. But this situation definitely got out of hand, and I understand why 343 is frustrated, and I understand why the Reddit mods took this action, because things were getting a little crazy in there, and I don't know if that's going to change overnight. I kind of doubt that it will, but it is fine to give feedback, but like be respectful and like understand what respectful means. Like respectful does not just mean like not cursing someone out. Like there are many forms of respect, and there are ways to give feedback without being like a total a-hole about it. So that is kind of what half my career is trying to give feedback without being an a-hole. I don't know if I always succeed in that, but it's what I try to live by. But anyway, we'll see where all this goes. I have a very strong feeling that Halo Infinite will be a big success at launch here. Like it's already a success to a certain extent, and these issues will be resolved pretty quickly. It's the first season of a brand new game and a new chapter for the series, so there were definitely going to be some rough patches. the fact that the rough patches are not the gameplay and the gameplay is as good as it is, I think is a very good sign for the health of the game for the long-term future. And this other stuff is things they can work out as they go. So, and we are already seeing that very quickly for some of these issues. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.